Well, more on the redevelopment of Douglas Promenade. Richard Pearson is with me, the man who is basically in charge of this whole thing and all these other projects. So much going on, Mr. Pearson. This is a much smaller area than I think a lot of people were anticipating as phase one. Why are you doing the area you are doing? And we can play in some of your PowerPoint stuff while we're talking about this, because you've got some great graphics showing the areas and what you're doing. But why have you decided on this area, first of all?
Well, we were keen to make a start. And in truth, the future phases involve a final decision on what to do with the horse trams, and also involve us planning a rail road scheme, because inevitably the tracks will have to be relayed as part of that project. Even if they were left where they were, they'd have to be relayed in that location. The plan at the moment is to put them on the seaward side next to the gardens, single track with passing places. That project is in planning stage still, and we are developing the detailed designs for that. The designs are very much following what the public have told us they would like to see when we did our blank page type consultation in 2010-11. So it's not my ideas or Minister Cretney's ideas or anybody else's ideas. It's really reflecting what the public said they would like us to do, but obviously following highway principles and best practice in terms of design.
Okay, well let's deal with the horse trams now then. They run down the middle, and you're going to do all the work over these 5 years on the promenade, but you're going to have to leave at that stage the horse trams where they are and work around that. And then, after the 5 years and every bit is done elsewhere, at that stage you'll have to move them. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, not quite. You haven't quite. We will obviously have to plan in detail the phases by which those future works will be undertaken.
Sorry, but you can't move them in sections, can you? You can't have the horse trams on the side in phases, can you?
If you stop and think it through, and I don't mean to be at all facetious, I can assure you.
That's all right. I want you to explain to me.
We can't move the whole tracks overnight, so obviously it won't be a question of going to bed one night and they're in one position and waking up the next morning.
You've got the winter when they're not running.
Yes, that's true. We have got the winter, and I'm sure we'll make good use of that period of downtime. But inevitably, the tracks will have to be moved in sections and in phases. Obviously, though, the detail of that is not currently fully planned, but we have realised that we will have to do it in phases, and it may be that there are sections, shorter sections of running horse tram available at different times.
Because you won't have the horse trams cutting across the road, going from the middle to the side.
That is a possibility. Wherever we've got a safe point in the road, so that might be at a traffic signal junction or something like that, where we could safely veer them across, then that is a possibility. But it is likely that the trams will be curtailed at various points in the construction programme as we start to plan through the work.
That's going to be the headline for so many people now. You know, that horse trams, moving them, you're going to upset some people, but should we do...
That's future phases anyway, for another story.
Let's go back to the main bit, because, I mean, it's £1 million odd you're spending on this phase, wasn't it?
Yes, 1.6 million.
And it looks so small. I mean, it looks like a nothing part, really, compared with the whole length of the promenade.
In this first section, the carriageway is particularly wide, if you stop and look at it. Also, we've got some quite wide footways in this first section, and we are using some high-quality materials, particularly around the Jubilee Clock area. So, if you like, there's a slightly disproportionate cost in this first section. It is the first thing that you come to when you leave the ferry, and it's, if you like, the start of the promenade. So we felt that it was worth putting a little bit more quality materials in this first section, as it's, if you like, the main gateway. Then as we go down the promenade, we may use slightly lesser quality. There'll still be good quality materials. But to give you a bit of a feel...
Just hold them up and show the camera.
What we've got is following...
Here. Just hold those up here.
Following the advice that we've had in terms of the regeneration, it was to use higher quality materials in the most high profile prominent locations. So, for example, on this scheme, phase one, we'll be using those around the Jubilee Clock area and across the Victoria Street junction.
Which you're going to move, of course, the Jubilee Clock.
We are. We're planning to move the clock purely because in its current location it constricts the width of the bell mouth of that junction, which may not matter in many ways, except for the fact that with the constriction on width, pedestrians who might wish to cross there cannot look up Victoria Street and see an adequate sight line. So therefore, if we widen the junction out, we can have crossing points for pedestrians. At the moment, you may recall that there's all barriers around there.
Yeah, it's a really weird
So it's a very sort of unusual layout.
Yeah.
It has what we might call very poor pedestrian permeability. So in other words, pedestrians can't actually walk where they might want to walk. So we're going to take all those barriers out, widen out the junction, create safe crossing points for pedestrians. Moving the clock, obviously we'd rather not do that, but we have to achieve that benefit. However, there are some other benefits that emerge from moving the clock, and it's only moving it about 8 metres to the south. So it will still be in that general area. The new position will be on the centre line of Victoria Street, so it means that as you look down Victoria Street, if you're further up the street, you'll look down and see the clock. From the promenade, the clock will look pretty much as it does now. However, if you're actually at that location as a pedestrian, you'll be able to walk all round the clock. So as well as crossing the road, you'll be able to walk right the way around the clock. And also there'll be some seating built into the base of the clock, which means that instead of having separate benches and more clutter, we can actually put some seating in around the base of the clock itself.
Well, we'll continue talking with Ms. Pearson in the next section.